Hey everybody, it's GoblinX, and welcome back to another premiere draft of Dominaria United. Without further ado, let's get into our pack 1 pick 1, which is a beautiful pack here. There are a ton of really powerful options. Probably just going to go with the rare here. It's a pretty solid mono-colored spell. It can be a board wipe and a 4/4 flyer all in one. There's a card selection ability on Chapter 2. That's probably the least impactful of the 3 chapters. Being able to clear out the small creatures and then play one big flyer is pretty good. There are 2 really good multicolored uncommons here. Phyrexian Missionary is great graveyard recursion, and I already forgot the name of the bird. The flying bird thing that buffs everybody with +1/+0 trample for each spell you cast is great in blue-red spells, but those are, of course, both multicolored cards, so we'd have to end up in exactly their archetypes to play them, whereas Elder Dragon War fits into any red deck and is pretty much just as strong as those multicolored spells. So for pick 2 now, we've got a Resolute Reinforcements here. I think that's probably going to be the pick for me. This is very good in any white deck in the format. There are tons of cards throughout white as a color that care about having a wide board state. There's some creatures that are cheaper for each creature you have on board. There's some cards that will buff every creature on your board with like +2/+1 till end of turn. So getting 2 creatures off of one spell is really nice in the color. And Boros aggro is pretty good, and that's a fine spot for the Elder Dragon War because of the read-ahead ability on this saga. If you are in a good aggressive position and you have plenty of small creatures on board, you can just skip right past Chapter 1, not blow up anything, just play this as a 4-mana 4/4 flyer, which is still a good deal, so even an aggressive deck can make great use of the Elder Dragon War. Pick 3. So we see no dual land in this pack, which means somebody is probably scooping up some of those. Those are the comes into play tapped lands with 2 basic land types. Those are really good for the domain decks, and domain decks are some of the strongest decks in the format, and that's where Nashoba Brawler would be great. So that might be a tiny signal somebody is drafting some domain stuff, even if the Brawler is still here, pick 3. So I think I'm just going to keep on the path that we're on right now and take Destroy Evil, which plays very well in the set. This is definitely a format with a lot of very beefy creatures. Basically every deck has at least one creature with toughness 4 or greater, and most of the strongest decks in the format are going to have multiple, particularly the domain decks will have some really big stuff, so Destroy Evil plays a lot better than it looks. And for pick 4, we now have an Argivian Cavalier, another card that's great at getting a wide board state, alongside Resolute Reinforcements, which is exactly what every white aggro deck wants to do, but especially Boros, as you can see with Heroic Charge here. So we've got a really nice position to go for some Boros aggro stuff. Now again, we could have been scooping up some domain stuff. That could have been pretty fun. Say we started with Phyrexian Missionary. That would probably be the best spot to be because domain can be 4 or 5 color. So we could have that nice graveyard recursion early. I don't remember exactly what was in pack 2, but then in pack 3 we get the Nashoba Brawler, pack 4 we get this Mossbeard Ancient, which is a great way to stabilize in the green decks in the late game. Definitely a clear path to domain here, but also pretty clear path to white-based aggro that we can just stick to for now. Pick number 5, Take Up the Shield is an incredible combat trick. It's going to save your creature from any destroy type removal. Doesn't save it from getting exiled or anything like that, but it also wins pretty much any combat, gains you a bunch of life to win any races if your opponent is also aggressive. It's a super, super good trick, but it is competing with the Love Song of Night and Day. You basically always want to skip Chapter 1 on this with the read-ahead mechanic. That way you just get a 1/1 flyer and then put a counter on it and another creature. So basically 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer and a +1/+1 counter, which is a pretty great effect on the board in terms of power toughness. I feel like Take Up the Shield is so efficient and so powerful, though, that we maybe take it over Love Song of Night and Day. I'm not super confident on that pick. That is one where it has been long enough since I've drafted the format where I'm not really sure on really close cards in terms of power level like that. Pick 6 now. This pack's pretty bad. None of these red cards are really good, so I think I'm just going to take a filler white card so that our second color is more open. If we open up a really good rare in a non-red color, we're just some white-based aggro deck. So Captain's Call, actually decent in the format. A lot of cards that want a really wide board state, or the Vanguard is fine filler because late in the game it becomes that Anthem effect to buff your wide board state of tokens, but I think I'll take the Captain's Call. think we're doing really good on like a token deck here. So if we get any cards like the +2/+1 to everybody later, those are going to be really, really powerful. And Keldon Strike Team's another card that fits super well into that kind of token deck. 3 creatures off of the 1 spell. Pretty phenomenal. And that does push us a little farther back into red here. Pick 8 Citizen's Arrest. Great sign when I'm already scooping up all the white cards. That's pretty late for a great removal spell like that. Pick 9, Balmor. That's this card's name. I can't believe I forgot its name, seeing as we did play it earlier this week with our blue-red spells deck. That card is very good. It's pick 9. I think I just have to take Goblin Picker, though. There's no way we're getting cut off of white at this point. White is 100% the core color of the deck, so we can't really play white, blue, and red. I mean, technically you can. There's decent fixing in the format, but if I want to be an aggressive deck, I don't really want to do much splashing. So we have Destroy Evil and Citizen's Arrest and an Elder Dragon War for removal. They're all a little situational in their own rights, but I think Fire Nado is just inefficient enough to not be interested in it. I'll just take the filler 2-drop creature. Just Captain's Call now. Actually, Flowstone Infusion's probably efficient enough to take over Captain's Call. It just kills any 2 toughness or less creature, or it finishes up 1 off like post-combat with that -2 toughness. Actually pretty decent removal. Flyers are fine, like the Mesa Cavalier. Warroot's also fine. Big Trampler, you can tap another creature to add power to it, but I'm going to stick deeper to white still. Alright, well, now I'm very happy with the pick of Take Up the Shield over Love Song of Night and Day, because we wield the Love Song of Night and Day, so we just get both. And that's a solid sign that white is wide open. And now, because we're so deep on white, when this pack doesn't have any great cards out of white or red, we actually have the breathing room to speculate on a very powerful rare that's off-color like the Cruelty of Gix. This is a 3-for-1. You discard your opponent's best card in hand, you grab the best card from your library and put it into your hand, and then you reanimate the best card from a graveyard. So pretty slow card, but very powerful one. And I do really like black-white as an archetype. It's got great ways of using your tokens that are left behind, and we're super good at producing tokens right now. There's a lot of Bone Splinter style cards where you can sack those tokens for value, so I think we're not so tied to red that we can't speculate on black here. So I am going to grab the Cruelty of Gix and have black-white as another place we could be. So pack 2, pick 2. Again, I think I'm prioritizing white spells here, so we take Argivian Cavalier, since it fits into our Boros deck or our Orzhov deck super well. Is Love Song of Night and Day actually better than that? This is a 2/2 flyer and an extra +1/+1 counter, so it's kind of like a 2/2 and a 1/1, but this is literally a 2/2 and a 1/1. I don't know, the extra +1/+1 counter you get isn't an actual body though, it's a single creature and you buff a different creature on board. They're definitely considerably different. I think Cavalier's probably actually a little better, because the wider the board, the stronger board buffing effects and stuff are going to be, and the stronger sacrifice removal is going to be, and just sacrifice spells in general, and those are 2 things that are available in either of the decks we play, Boros or Orzhov. Pick 3 is another easy Argivian Cavalier, or like a Flowstone Infusion. Fires of Victory is excellent in blue-red, but pretty medium without the kicker. Well, alright. Red is definitely more open than black. We'll just play 2 copies of Elder Dragon War Boros deck. If we're ever behind, we can wipe the board, but this will often just be a 4-mana 4/4 flyer, which is still good unless we're playing against blue. Our deck is going to have a bad matchup against blue, because there's a lot of good bounce spells in the format, and them being able to bounce a token is going to permanently kill it. So if they have any Tolarian Geysers, they just spend 3 mana, kill our token, and draw a card. And that is disastrous, so we really don't want to play against blue decks with this one. But yep, Boros is just super free here, so goodbye Cruelty of Gix. We'll grab a Tori Davenant instead. This is a great way to buff our super wide board, which obviously we've shown a bunch of token production here. We're going to have a super wide board. Pick 6. Nothing much here. Just take a filler 2-mana 2/2. I don't think I have a lot of 2-drops yet. Yeah, I've got 3 2-mana creatures. I'd like to up that to at least like 5 on the curve. Yeah, very reasonable Boros deck here. Pick 7, there we go. Samite Herbalist for another filler 2-drop. I could also take one of these dual lands to splash in some random kicker effects or something if we find them, but I'm going to stick pure Boros. Pick 8, another Flowstone Infusion. Hurler Cyclops is fine with all this token production. 3 Cavaliers, a Keldon Strike Team, a Captain's Call, Resolute Reinforcements. Yeah, it's fine. I feel like I'm doing real good on the creature count, though. I'm going to grab another Infusion. Have that cheap interaction. Okay, I cannot imagine we'd ever play a Dragon Whelp when we're already on 2 copies of the Elder Dragon War. So the 4-drop slot's pretty full. So let's grab a Stall for Time, but I don't think I'm playing that either. Pick 10, wow. All right. Another Flowstone Infusion, I guess. And this card's actually kind of flexible for this deck. We don't have a lot of creatures with more than 2 toughness, but being able to blow up any creature of our opponents with 2 or less toughness and then sometimes, you know, get an extra 2 damage in with an Elder Dragon War, it just adds to the power of the card. Which is nice. All right, nobody likes Flowstone Infusion here. Nobody likes it. All right, pack 3, pick number 1. So Baird, with the right effects to go with him, is really good. So if you can get a +1/+1 counter onto somebody on the board, or if you can equip somebody on the board, then Baird just keeps pooping out soldiers all game long. It also works with the Enlist ability. We have 3 Cavaliers that have Enlist. We have 1 Love Song of Night and Day for a +1/+1 counter. If we activate Flowstone Kavu, that's also a way to have a creature with higher power than its base power. We've also got the Faith Bonder with Enlist. We've also got the Take Up the Shield for a +1/+1 counter. I think we have enough ways to work with Baird to run him here over the Battle Hymn, just because I do have 8 removal spells right now. Battle Hymn is certainly better than a 5th copy of Infusion, but it's not filling out a slot that I'm really lacking right now. And Baird is like a really good 2-drop, and we have some very filler 2-drops I would like to get rid of. So Baird is actually, like, I think really improving that slot in the deck. And speaking of improving that slot in the deck, now there's a Knight of Dawn's Light for another fantastic 2-drop. This is also one that synergizes with Baird. If we use its ability to buff it, then Baird's going to give us a 1/1 in the end step. So love that little synergy with the Knight there. It also plays really well with the Flowstone Infusion. If I buff it once and then infusion it, that's 5 first striking power. That can eat some real big creatures without fear of dying. It is competing with Take Up the Shield and Heroic Charge. Both of those would be great non-creature spells, but I love me some 2-drops in my aggro decks. I want to just up the quality of those a lot. Here's another Keldon Strike Team. That's quite easy. Pick number 4. All right, well, certainly isn't a Heroic Charge, but it does a decent approximation. Warhost's Frenzy can find a random kill on your opponent when you've got a wide board state. Give everybody +2/+0 and just finish your opponent off here. So we'll run that instead of, you know, the 4th and 5th Infusion as a way to randomly end the game. Yeah, I've already got 4 4-drops. This is going to be better than a 5th 4-mana spell, which would be the Captain's Call. Better than another filler 2-drop, better than a Kavu for a filler 3. Yeah, Frenzy's definitely what we're looking for. Pick 5, second Baird. You've heard of first Baird, but have you heard of second Baird? I mean, Destroy Evil, also reasonable, but let's double Baird it up. Pick 6, Citizen's Arrest. Over the 3rd Infusion. On 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 creatures here. No, we probably take a Citizen's Arrest and cut an 18th creature. And that's fine. So what, like Kavu, Mesa Cavalier, Faithbinder, Goblin Picker. These are the most filler creatures. I'll take another Love Song of Night and Day, I think, to go with the Baird. I mean, Take Up the Shield also goes with Baird. Great combat trick. We could run that over Infusion instead of ripping one of these creatures out. I don't know. I really like the curve of Baird into Love Song of Night and Day. That sounds pretty legit. Oh, let's go. We got a Heroic Charge. Okay, I'll play that over Frenzy. I guess I could play both in here reasonably. But definitely over the Goblin Picker. We're taking that Heroic Charge. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 drops. Put a 5th in at least. Okay, I'm not going to play any of these cards. Just going to try to get my whole deck built before we go to the deck building portion. I like to do that sometimes. Cavalier is my only flyer, but it's not very good. Oh, second Heroic Charge? This is not a terrible Electrostatic Infantry deck. I guess a lot of our non-creature spells are enchantments. We got 2 Arrests, 2 Love Song of Night and Days, so we only have 5 instants and sorceries. I guess 6, but yeah, still not the greatest. Alright, I think I took too long. I am going to have to actually deck build in the deck builder. Okay, we're certainly cutting Warhost's Frenzy. I'm not going to run 2 charges and a Frenzy. I might run both charges, though. Alright, so we got 48 cards here. We can probably go 16 lands pretty easily, because our 5 drops are also 3 drops, worst case scenario. Curve is not that bad, although I do want to drop some 3 mana and more stuff, and Cavaliers are definitely the most efficient way to get a wide board. The Love Song of Night and Day is really good with Baird, which is the main reason I'd be running the Kavus as well, so I can buff them up to work with Baird, but it's like Love Song's just better at doing that. Every single 3-drop in the deck actually works with Baird, even if I cut the Kavus, because these put +1/+1 counters on the board, and these have the Enlist mechanic to have greater power than their base power, so still have tons of Baird combos there. Cutting all those 3-drops. I already cut the land, so I do have to cut 4 more cards still. Double Heroic Charge and Tori. I feel like the wide board state stuff is really good, but I have 3 Cavaliers and 2 Strike Teams, and a Reinforcements, and 2 Bairds, even without Captain's Call. So, for curve purposes, out of all the 4 drops we cut here, I think it would be a Captain's Call. I mean, maybe it'd even be a Tori since I have 2 of the Heroic Charges. Feels a little weird. Tori's probably a little better than the Captain's Call. And then we cut like some 2 drops, maybe 1 non-creature spell. Yeah, I think it's cut one of these 2, cut a couple 2 drops, and maybe 1 non-creature spell. That'd be the deck. So for the 2 drops, the Bairds are by far the best, but the Resolute Reinforcements and the Knight of Dawnlights are also great. So that leaves the Goblin Pickers, the Herbalist, the Faith Bonder as the filler. Really don't love the 1 toughness on this card, but the idea behind it is you can always enlist with it and keep scrying. But we only have 3 enlist cards in the whole deck. If I cut the Faith Bonder, then the only enlisters are the Cavaliers. I think I'd just run 2 mana 2/2s over the Herbalist with the Pickers, and then those give me card selection. If I'm flooding out, they prevent that. Yeah, I think I play these over the white 2 drops. This also lets us get our colors a little more even, so I can hit double red more often. Because otherwise I'm going to go like pretty weighted towards white mana for all these double white spells, but I think we want the colors pretty even here. So, up the red 2 drops. Seems fine. And out of all the non-creatures I cut, I think 1 Infusion just looks the most sensical here. Get the widest variety of abilities down here. Yeah, most flexible non-creature spells. So drop 1 Infusion, then 3 of these. So it's picking the 4-drop I want to keep. I'll just keep Tori. She's the coolest of the 4 drops. Big legendary creature. And we can call it a deck here. All right, here we are for game one with quite the curve. We've got 5 creatures that can be on the board for a heroic charge as a finisher. Could be big damage against a slower deck. We do need to find a second white source by the time we want to heroic charge, but we won't want to heroic charge until we've already cast all these other creatures anyway, so we have time to find that plains, and we did it immediately. Oh god, now I've got a Tori as well. Opponent needs some great defensive stuff. No Essence Scatter from our opponent. Does look like they are domain-ish. Definitely don't want to give them the cards here. We start on Chapter 2 generally in any aggressive deck, and honestly any deck pretty much all the time. Our opponent is missing land drops here in a domain deck. It's looking pretty unlosable for us so far, unless they have like a board wipe in their hand or something, because I mean this curve out is insane, and theirs is pretty awful. Yep, that was absolutely tragic for our opponent, but we will take the victory. We are 1-0 heading into game 2. Here we are for game 2. We don't start till turn 3, and we're on the draw, which is definitely not what we perfectly want in aggro, but the mana base is good. We have early interaction, and the spells we have are solid, so I think we gotta keep here. We did end up running only like 5 2-drops, so we're not going to have a 2-mana play in every single opening hand. Technically should have started with the mountain, just in case they played a really good 1-drop. No! Fashion Wheel 8 Resolute Reinforcements! Alright, well. Here's Cavalier, just really making sure we've got the extra creatures on board before we get to Chapter 3 of the Love Songs. You leave a bunch of mana open and I am not casting Tori. Aether Channeler, kill a token, sure. No, Aether Channeler, draw a card, they say. They're leaving 1 mana open. We can resolve a Tori through a single mana. Might get Lightning Striked, though. Sure. Decent little 2-for-1 for our opponent, but that's about the minimum value you can expect out of a rare. They got to draw a card and kill the Cavalier. Alright, bounce Tori it is. Fair enough. I don't have triple red here, so I can't recast Tori and kill this amplifier. Can only do one or the other. Can kill the amplifier and play a love song. And then I've got the instant speed reinforcements, so even if they like kill some of my creatures before Chapter 3 triggers, I can slam this down to get counters on these two instead. Yeah, Tori's not even going to be that strong on this board yet anyway. I think we're dropping a love song. Am I infusing and attacking or dropping reinforcements? I'm going to stay open to dropping reinforcements. I might infusion the amplifier in the end step or something. Okay, I'm not going to do anything about amplifier unless they like super buff it here. Sure. I'll take 1 extra point of damage. Micromancer. Excellent blue-red deck from our opponent. All the quality cards. The Channeler and the Micromancer here. Oof, the Rona's Vortex. Actually disgusting. That gets to kill our bird for 1 mana. I mean, we said when we built the deck we really don't want to play against blue, and now we're getting got playing against blue. With the bounce spells, Aether Channeler and Vortex here. Exactly the kind of cards that destroy us. I mean, they're just going to bounce the bird anyway, so we'll put the counter on the soldier. So Elder Dragon War is looking very bad against Vortex and against blue in general. I don't have the mana to kill Tori here if I want to just drop Tori. Attack in and have a 2-drop trade up into Micromancer by casting Infusion, but then if I cast Infusion, I don't have a Tori on board. Yeah. No great plays here. They're at 19, I'm at 13 as well, so it doesn't even feel like pushing in is that great. Yeah, I mean, without the mana to infuse and cast Tori together, I just don't think I'm sending the ground troops in. Now I can just block Amplifier with a 2-2, which is decent. Interesting. Bounce the Tori. I mean, that's gotta mean they probably don't have like a lightning strike or something. Otherwise, I would expect the bounce to be used on a token for a permanent kill. Show me multiple shore-ups or something, and then I'll just Infusion plus Elder Dragon War if we can find another red source, but we do really need to find another red source so that the Elder Dragon War actually kills some stuff. Because as it stands, it doesn't kill the Soaring Drake or the Micromancer, which is kind of a big deal. Okay, Infusion doesn't really do much here. That was far from the worst trick. Furious Bellow is decent, though. Yeah, I mean, we got rid of 2 cards with our 3 tokens, pretty much. That's not the worst trade ever. Obviously, we didn't kill anything on board, but we ripped out a bunch of tricks from their hand. Can drop a Cavalier and have double Infusion up. Awkward. They might even have a Scatter here, which would be kind of brutal. Nope. Or if they do have it, they're saving it for Tori, which is fair. Yeah, 11 to 8, we gotta play the control role and hope that this is a miniature board wipe later. Get us ahead on cards. Because we're gonna have to 2-for-1 ourselves a little bit here with Infusion plus the bird killing the Soaring Drake. Stuff like that. Najal. 5-4. So I need to Infusion the Soaring Drake, top deck a Mountain. If I top deck a Mountain here, we can win. Because we can Infusion Jaw and then Elder Dragon War, and then they have no board post Elder Dragon War. Oh, it's probably the worst draw. We have no creatures on board right now. Man. The lack of the triple red is going to kill us here. They get to double up any instant sorcery they play for the rest of the game now. Do I even have a play at this point? I could spit out a 4/4 flyer, but any instant or sorcery they have is going to deal with that, and if they have bounce, it's going to be exceptionally bad for us. I can't play anything that's big enough to block Najal. Could have each player draw 2, but got 4 cards over there. Just play a Tori and pass. Yeah, this is rough. If they don't kill me this turn, it's possible top decking the Mountain next turn will still be enough. But they might just kill me here. We're at 6 and they get to double. So if they have a lightning strike, we take 6. They don't have a lightning strike. Okay. Show me the counterspell for Elder Dragon War, and then I can scoop. No counterspell, let's go. All right. We did it. I mean, we didn't win the game yet, but we're in a really good spot from here. So I sequenced like that with full control mode, because if they have the counterspell for Elder Dragon War, we want to still have a Flowstone Infusion, so I wanted to wait to see if the war resolved, and then if it resolved, we can respond to it with the infusion on the stack instead. As I did there. That way, if they have a negate, we don't lose both spells for nothing. Okay, go to 4. Find the kill, right? Believe so. Lethal on board with the heroic charge backup. Ooh. Stressful game. The mountain waited for the last possible opportunity. If it waited one turn longer, that would have been a loss. All right. Scary matchup for sure. The two bounce spells they played certainly being very, very good against our deck. But yeah, clumping up a lot of token blockers, playing the defensive there when we had the board wipe in hand. Certainly played in our favor. We managed to find that red source just quick enough to flip the board in our favor and reverse that game in the end. So we are 2-0 heading into game 3. All right, here we are for game 3. We're on the draw, but we don't have a red source. I still get to play an Argivian Cavalier and a Citizen's Rest that are both real good cards, and if we find the red source, Baird is going to be active off of the Enlist from the Cavalier, so it's a little risky, but I'm going to keep it here. 2 great early game plays. And boom, never didn't have it. Playing against Domain Soup. That's 2 duels in a row from our opponent. If they stabilize in the late game, we are incredibly dead, but if they have a slow opener, sometimes we can just beat down before they do too much. And that's why just the filler 3 mana 3/3 plays perfectly well in the archetype, because it can stop these aggressive decks, slow us down here. I could Citizen's Arrest the Bog Badger, but I'd rather save the arrest for a big creature, and most importantly, get Baird active as quickly as possible. And our way to get Baird active is the Argivian Cavalier in this hand. That's how we start spitting out tokens every turn. The Raven Man. They have 1 mana up here, and it's holding. They can have Gaia's Might, give a creature +4/+4. Yeah, they have every land type but red right now, so they can give +4/+4 for just 1 mana. So I think we Citizen's Arrest the Badger so I can enlist Cavalier send in. And then if they try to block Combat Trick, we can Infusion. If they just block, we just accept the trade, unfortunately. Like, I would love to just Infusion the Raven Man right now, but they can easily just have the 1 mana Combat Trick, the Gaia's Might. For +4/+4, that definitely gets played in Domain decks. I think we have to play around the Gaia's Might. Especially if it holds when I cast this. It didn't hold when I cast that. They might not have a thing. I mean, what happens worst case scenario? I trade an Infusion for a Gaia's Might, and then this is 5 toughness -3. It's still 3 toughness, so I can still send a Cavalier in. Yeah, I guess I just do it. Okay. I'm fighting shadows. I'm fighting demons that don't exist. And we're not even in Duskmourn yet. Yavimaya Sojourner. That's a big roadblock, but when we've got this many creatures, we can just send the whole team in anyway. I think we enlist with the Cavalier. Try to force the block there, right? And if they want to stop the max amount of damage and stop Baird from triggering, now they block Cavalier. This gets them to not block Baird. I don't know, maybe it's greedy to try to get them to not block Baird. Alright, we have several super lethal top decks. We just need to get one of our +2/+1s to everybody. Elder Dragon War would work as well. They don't have any reach blockers. Well, they've got one, but it's smaller than a 4/4. Hey, hello there. You certainly work. Do I have to make the 4/4 flyer immediately? I'm going to discard. I'm going to draw 2 and then make the 4/4 flyer. Tori and a Love Song of Night and Day. Not bad. If I send in the team, they kill Baird, a strike team, and a 1/1. Well, no, Urg doesn't kill anybody. So they kill Baird and a 1/1. Or they trade Snare Spinner to strike team. Yeah, actually send in. Sure, we get the Snare Spinner out of the way before I start making birds and stuff. Now all we're hoping for is just no life gain. A single hit from the dragon kills them. No, that's life gain! Don't play the Raven Man, don't play the Raven Man, don't play the Raven Man. My cards are too expensive to cast both in one turn, and the Raven Man can make me discard cards, so we really need them to not. Oh, they had the mana to play them both anyway. I don't know what the massive amount of thinking was then. Shoot! Was really hoping they had to choose between the two. Alright, well, we top decked a mountain, so I can just discard a mountain instead of anything else. This gives red creatures trample, right? Oh yeah, so the dragon tramples in when I attack with this? That's actually better than playing the Love Song then. Alright, discard a mountain to the Raven Man. The Ravens can't block anything, right? Yeah, they can't block anything. So that's good. Okay, 4 blockers. Block, 1, 2, 3, block, block, block. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, and they get trampled for 3. And they get trampled for 2 from the dragon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, trample for 2. It's exact lethal if they don't have anything there. It's a top deck Terra Sunder. Oh no. Hello. Are you lethal? +2/+1 trample to everybody? Probably. So these are all 4 power with trample. So let's imagine 5 times 4. Block, 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 block. They can gain 2. Oh, the math. They can gain 2. So they're at essentially 8 life. I have 4 times 4, 16. 16 plus 5. 21, 21 minus 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 21 minus 15, I do about 6 damage. So they survive with like 2 life. But these are all, again, 5 power. Oh, I miscalculated. I said these were 4. They're actually, oh no, they are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we kill most of their creatures for this. We kill at least 2 of their creatures doing this. Maybe 3 if they put the 1/5 in front of Tori. And it's possible they block in a way that gets them killed. Unlikely, but possible. And maybe my math really sucks and this actually just is lethal. But I'm pretty sure they sack a land and they get to live here. My math sucks. It's exactsies. Oh, you know what it was? Why it's exactsies. My math was right. If they could have like every single point of their toughness matter, then they would survive it too. But the Sojourner's 6 toughness can only block 1 creature with 5 power maximum. So this is actually only stopping 5 damage instead of 6. And then because that 6 toughness went in front of the 5/5, that's the only 5 power creature. This 5 toughness goes in front of a 4/4. So instead of stopping 5 with this and 6 with this, they're only stopping 4 with this and 5 with this. So that is the 2 extra points that I had calculated as toughness they could use to survive. So without those 2 stopping the 2 extra points of damage, instead of being at 2, they're at 0. That's 2 more damage than I calculated because I wasn't accounting for the fact that their 6 toughness creature can't stop 6 damage. My biggest creature is 5. So, little intricacies of combat math that I suck at. We are 3-0 heading into game number 4. Here we are starting off game 4 with our first mulligan of the day. This is very clearly not keepable for a multitude of reasons. This is closer, but there's only 1 castable spell. I can ditch a Baird, hope to hit 1 land and be able to cast 2 spells here, but Heroic Charge is pretty awful in the opening hand. You want to top deck that as the final way to end the game, as we did last round. Yeah, I mean, you really don't want Charge in the opener, and if we miss red sources, this hand is super bad. I have to mull down to 5 here. This is the best hand we've seen so far, but it is not ideal, that's for sure. We might even ditch a charge here. Only 2 creatures in the hand right now. If we flood, I do have a Goblin Picker. Yeah, I think 3 lands ditch charge is reasonable. Even with only 2 drops in the opener. But, yep, obviously our odds of victory just from opening hands have already decreased quite a lot. It will be an uphill battle. Boros mirror match. But they are up 2 cards and on the play, so I mean that's that's about as weighted in their favor as you can get. There's the Cavalier. We do have 2 copies of the Elder Dragon War in this deck we can try to leverage to win this matchup. So we might be all in on just drawing that, because there's no way, I mean, I'm already out of gas. There's no way that we're going to play enough cards to take the aggressive lead here. We just sit on our butt and try to draw the Elder Dragon War to one-sided board wipe and win from there. Love Song's pretty solid here, actually. Honestly, no, it's probably still a bad idea to have each player draw 2 cards, because then we're just fueling them to get on board even quicker. Draw into their own +2/+1 to everybody with their heroic charges or whatever's. Yeah, it's too likely for the opponent card draw to go badly. I basically just always skip chapter 1. 3/4 flyer. That's a little bit of a problem because it survives an Elder Dragon War. But if the Elder Dragon War resolves, we'll eventually get a 4/4 flyer that beats the 3/4. We've also got plenty of removal in the deck we could find to deal with that. Not plenty, but a couple. 2 Citizen's Arrest, 1 Destroy Evil, right? Those all blow up the Acolyte. I suppose if we find an Immolation, that's good enough if I put a counter on the bird, block and then Immolate Acolyte during their end step. And we've got, what, 3 Immolations or something? Hello, Citizen's Arrest. Nice to see you. This is really weird, but because I'm going to exile their flyer, and I'm kind of all in on drawing into an Elder Dragon War, I'm going to make 2 of our creatures big enough to survive an Elder Dragon War, rather than making our flyer any better here. I don't think I'm ditching this to the picker, because if we top deck a basic, just playing this for a bunch of blocks seems decent. There's their own strike team. Yeah, if they find like a single heroic charge, we're super dead. But if we find like a single Elder Dragon War, they're super dead. What do they have for a single red? I guess they're just going wide for damage here. And that's obviously a free kill. Yeah, I do take a lot of damage. This might just be send the whole team and then send it again next turn with the charge to kill. I don't think there's anything for a single red that randomly kills this knight. They could Immolation my Goblin Picker, but then I killed a 1/1 in their Immolation. That's not bad. Alright. Yeah, that strike team was a significant addition to the amount of damage on their board. It makes me feel a little bad about attacking with the bird. No! Oh, that's actually tragic. We really don't want to play these without the kick. I mean, Heroic Charge gives Trample too, so adding a single toughness against the Trample spell just does not do anything. I think I just pass. Oh, God. Maybe I have to bite the bullet and just play a 3/1. We survive Heroic Charge here, right? Because I get to first strike away the strike team and take no trample damage. Yeah, they're just passing. Cool. There we go. Love to see that. One damage. We're going to get there in 19 turns. It's going to be sick. Oh. Okay, that's actually kind of brutal. Because Elder Dragon War is not going to clear that bad boy out. We'll clear all that out. Where are you two? They're both in the bottom 26 somewhere. Taking 3 damage a turn. I don't think I want to overextend into it. I already have 5 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attackers. Yeah, shoot. I guess I am still extending. Which means not drawing another card this turn. Down to 7. Oh! Just gonna do this right now. I have enough blockers on the ground, and if I draw it, I can immediately cast it right now. That is not it. That is not it. Actually, both of our heroic charges are also, like, getting really close to lethal top decks because of the trample that they provide. even if they block with like their whole board. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 damage. Yeah, if we top decked a heroic charge, we could also have just lethaled them here, but it looks like they probably top decked their own before us, sadly. This was the game we started on the draw and on the multi 5, and it ended up being like a top deck war where we had several really good outs. So even if they did find the heroic charge here and we're dead, I think that was still a pretty good showing, all things considered, for this deck. Because things did go the wrongest of the day in this game, if that makes any sense. This is the maximum amount of damage I can stop, and we die to heroic charge if they have it. But again, if we drew the charge, they were dead to it too. Alright. They won the top deck war. We are 3-1 heading into game 5. Alright, here we are for game 5. Very solid hand. Obviously want to top deck a couple lands in the early turns, but we've got multiple 2-drops to play, and as soon as we hit one land, 4 out of the 5 spells are castable. Hello. Blue, our worst color, because of the bounce. Don't do it to me. Maybe I should have started with Goblin Picker here, so if I missed the land, I could ditch one of the 3 drops towards one. Actually would have been reasonable. Probably should have started with Picker this game. Ooh. Now there's a Knight of Dawn's Light, though. I don't want to play a Goblin Picker over a Knight of Dawn's Light, do I? I guess I do, and then I can ditch. Well, hold on. This is the other problem with Picker. What am I discarding to it, even if I had played it there? Cavalier, maybe? Maybe the Love Song? Certainly not the War. I mean, I guess against the blue deck, maybe it is the War. Because we're just going to bounce it. Yeah, I actually think we need lands badly enough to play Goblin Picker here. And then next turn I can ditch like Love Song or Elder Dragon War. Hope to hit the land. If I do hit the land, I get to play the Knight as well in the same turn. Yeah, both of these cards are horrible in this matchup because of Tolarian Geyser. The Love Song of Night and Day or the Elder Dragon War. We did naturally hit land 3, so I can just play a 3-drop instead. Sure. Let's go Cavalier first here. Because if they have another Tolarian Geyser, it's better for me if they kill a 1-1 on the ground than if they kill a 1-1 in the sky. Micromancer, please don't have Rona's Vortex. Flowstone Infusion, oh, that's also decent. No! I don't like Elder Dragon War in this matchup. Guess we're going to write them a love song. We could need the lands badly enough to do the each player draws too. Oh, this is weird. This will be the only time I actually do that. I've got 2 Elder Dragon Wars as well, so if any of the cards they draw are more Haunting Figments, just stuff with 2 or less toughness, that could be profitable, where we get even farther ahead in cards just by blowing up multiple with the War. Alright. Again, this matchup just sucks so bad because the amount of bounce they have. But what can you do? I could play another Cavalier here and then buff both of them with the +1/+1 counters from the Love Song. I don't want to play Baird, because then Baird just dies to Flowstone. And I don't want to play the War until I get the +1/+1 counters from the Love Song. Yeah, so I guess it is. Well, I guess Baird will make a 1/1 immediately, because I can enlist right now. And then end step Baird trigger. Then they infuse Baird, and if they don't, I put a counter on them. I'm gonna still save them. I'm gonna go for Cavalier this turn. Lose another 1/1. But I'll have 2 3/3s with the enlist mechanic as well to really have Baird stuff in the future. Do not bounce me, bird. Oh! Planes, planes, planes. Let's go. As I accidentally put a +1/+1 counter on the Sphinx. Where's your infusion for Baird now, friend? Yeah, we citizen the rest of that while they're tapped out. Easy. 1. I don't want to trade Cavalier into Amplifier. I'd be fine with the trade for Micro. Well, maybe not even, because I have the Baird. But I've got a Knight of Dawn's Light, so I guess I have an alternate way to get Baird pooping tokens everywhere. Stop. No more bounce. My bird flies away into the aether. Tragic. What is this going to be, like shore up and a bunch of tricks? 10 to 15. These are just going to die to an Elder Dragon War anyway, so I might as well try to kill Amplifier here and get a trick out of their hand. Worst case scenario. Sure. 1-for-1 trade, reinforcement into shore up. Battlewing Mystic. I think this calls for war. This means war. Alright, put them to 5 pass. Crystal Grotto, scry 1. Scry to the top. They like what they see. Colorless. Oh, I guess because you have to spend mana to get colored mana out of it. What Eldrazi nonsense is this? Nothing. Ooh. Exile removal. So they don't draw any cards off lookout. I like that. I mean, if they have a shore up, it's pretty bad for me, but let's see. No shore up. I mean, I guess it's not bad for me. It's just a 1-for-1 Citizen's Arrest trades for shore up. Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable for me. Would be the correct terminology. It's just not incredible for me anymore. Phyrexian Espionage kicked. Sure, goodbye, Knight. Okay, if they don't have another trick, an Elder Dragon War does lethal them here. If they don't have another shore up. Yeah, force their hand with a negate or a shore up, or we hit them for 3 when they're at 3 life. Okay, hit them for 2 when they're at 3 life, still seems not bad. And 1 life against a token deck is real scary. for our opponent. Academy Wall, that's one blocker. Don't have another geyser. Don't do it to me. No, why the blue matchup gotta be so bad? Alright. One blue mana up. Find the heroic charge? I mean, I guess that kills the Academy Wall, but I'd rather just get Baird and a 1/1 here, and I think I'm saving the other Baird as a backup. Yeah, just play the Baird and have the heroic charge for when I have 3 creatures out. Turn after this. I mean, I don't even need the charge, though. Maybe I should have discarded the charge, because it's like if a single creature gets in, it's lethal. But the trample might be big enough that it matters. Kicked Espionage is bold. They're going to interact with all 3 of these for only 3 mana? That's their plan. Oh, 4 mana? Tolarian Terror, okay. That's a blocker for only 1. All they need is a single piece of interaction here to not die on this attack. And then they would eat the Cavalier, bounce the Baird, block that. They have the single piece of interaction. Attacks feel really, really bad here. Maybe I should have ditched Baird. If we kept heroic charge, then even with the interaction, we probably lethal. No, because we only have 5 power max. So even a 5 power trampling Baird and Cavalier are blocked. They just bounce the one thing that gets through. Yeah, we still wouldn't lethal them with the charge. Oh, this is awkward. The most awkward thing about it is if it is like a bounce spell here, they can just do it before Baird triggers. But it looks like they are not doing it before Baird triggers. Okay. They can kill Baird if they attack, so they have to have one less blocker up now, unless they have Shore Up to untap the Terror. Cool. I guess I could have blocked with the dragon as well, because that'd be 6 toughness. But again, that would play like real bad against tricks. Okay, now they need 2 pieces of interaction to not die to a swing out, so I'm just gonna go for it. They need Shore Up and bounce. They don't have Shore Up, they're already on blocks. Okay, they take it. That is 4-1, heading into game 6 now. All right. This is a pretty beautiful hand. We've got a lot of ways to trigger Baird if he can stick around long enough. Love Song of Night Day, take up the shield, even Tori works. With the other creatures getting +1/+1. Vanquisher's Axe, turn 1 from our opponent, so probably a mirror match. The only deck where that card is playable is just like the Boros deck if you have a lot of Bairds and you really need ways to up the power there. Hello. There is actually a rare in Boros that lets you draw a bunch of equipment and vehicles out of the top 6 of your deck, but all the equipment and vehicles kind of suck, like Vanquisher's Axe, where it's a little expensive to move around. But that would be another reason to run the Axe. So there's Peacekeeper from our opponent, so they're choosing something from our hand to make it cost 2 more to play. For as long as this Peacekeeper's on the board. We've got enough good cards to play here. I don't think it really matters what they pick. All right, obviously we have the take up the shield here if they block, so we just send in the team. And then I just get to hold up a take up the shield and drop resolute reinforcements if I don't need to use it. We get to play around Lightning Strike and Keldon's Fury that way, all the burn spells in the format. I'm about to take 3 to the face. Oof. Flowstone Kavu with a single red mana up. Single red mana is not enough to kill a Baird. They could have the +2/-2. But I'm okay with tapping out of the take up the shield here, because if they kill the bird with an immolation, that is definitely not as bad as them killing a Baird. Well, I think they are exceptionally dead whenever I hit the heroic charge mana here. Take up the shield still beats immolation plus whatever blocks, right? Yeah, because indestructible, it beats anything. So, send those in. If they don't block, I get to Love Song of Night and Day, but at this point, for tempo reasons, I assume here comes a block to force the take up the shield. Yep. Force the shield then. Yeah, because this is leaving 2 creatures on board by casting this. I get to keep a 4/4 and another 1/1, so I'm still expanding the board, going wide like I would be by playing another creature. Guardian of New Benalia. They've got some pretty great rares over there, but we have pretty wide board with Heroic Charge, and they're tapped out. I think top deck land is guaranteed lethal now. It's 3 damage apiece minimum, at least 4 creatures getting in. That is 12. It does have to be top deck planes specifically, but there you go. And our opponent knows they're dead. This is game. Heroically charging in for lethal. There's the GG from opponent. Here we are for game 7 now. We are 5-1 against a pretty big battle of an opponent. One of the Eldritch Horrors from Duskmourn, the Tickler. I'm already scared, but I like the hand a good bit. We definitely need more creatures, and Heroic Charge is kind of like taking a mulligan this early, but obviously we've seen that it can absolutely end games later, so really need to draw some creatures here. But we have 3 very high quality cards, with the Knight being one of our best creatures in the deck to start things off, and 2 great removal spells for any explosive nonsense our opponent does to try to kill us quickly. Blue! No, at least we're on the play, so we get to get around the Essence Scatter if they have that as the counterspell for 2 mana. So we get to resolve 1 Knight and just keep buffing it all game long. That's the plan. And there's a Resolute Reinforcements. Weirdly enough, I'm just going to cast it right now to play around an Essence Scatter. Because I'm not actually holding anything up by doing it during my opponent's end step. My other instants are either too expensive or too narrow to do anything right now. Heroic Charge just to trade into Soaring Drake and get extra damage in here wouldn't be that bad. But I can also just attack with Knight of Dawn's Light. They can't afford to block because I can just spend 2 mana to eat that without even spending a card. And then I can still play Love Song of Night and Day while getting damage in, saving the Heroic Charge for an even wider board. The one flaw here is if they have, you know, the Tolarian Geyser or the Rona's Vortex or anything, we get to say goodbye to our bird. Luckily, they don't have any of that. Just a Talus lookout. Another citizen's arrest. Okay. Loving that. Just start casting these then. Let me do this right. Yeah, their blocks are pretty miserable like this, so we just sneak 5 damage in without losing anybody. If I send in the bird as well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit for the exact same amount of damage. I'm just also not going to have a bird for a later heroic charge, which doesn't feel ideal. If we can get to 6 mana, then it's important to have as many of these on board as possible, because trampling over on the turn that they block here is significantly more impactful life total-wise. That's what it's all about with aggro. We're just reducing that life total to 0. I guess that's what most draft decks are doing. But especially one like this. You can play some card disadvantageous plays just to get more damage in and stuff like that. I hope they're mono blue, because that would definitely be a little bummer if they're stuck on mana this long. 5 blue sources before a second color. Blue is a very good color in this format, so if it was wide open. There is a rare or two that can incentivize you to be completely mono blue. There's like a Djinn that has power equal to the number of islands you control. It's like a really cheap flyer, so that can be pretty big. All right, Baird looks excellent here, but they've got 4 mana up, so they're probably going to scatter it. Let's just see if they do anything combat-wise here. I guess I could go for lethal if they don't have something that can counter a non-creature spell. They block there, take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, take exact lethal. I still think Baird's a really strong play that's a little less risky. No blocks anyway. Okay, the only counterspell they could have to counter the Baird is just counter a creature period or counter a spell period. There's no like taxing counters in the format, so I'm going to spend the 2 for the extra 1 damage there and play the Baird. There was the early GG from our opponent, which I think was saying like the just cast the heroic charge, I'll die, but we want to take the risk of getting blown out by the counterspell where we can just guarantee a super advantageous board state for the next turn and still have the charge in case of counter. But yeah, I guess we could have lethaled a turn sooner if we knew they didn't have the counter, but never trust the tickler. All right, here we are for what could be the final battle. We are on the draw with an excellent opener. We just need 1 more win to get a full 7-win run. We're 6-1 right now. No, the Defenders deck? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. That means they're going to have plenty of blockers for all my nonsense. Okay, Coral Colony into Cavalier. That's some blockers right there. Reinforcements isn't even going to do anything right now. I don't mind just destroying this Coral Colony, getting it out of the way. The Wingmantle Chaplain, the scariest of the defenders, has 3 toughness, so I can't even kill their best defender build around in the first place. It's another blue deck as well, so they can just kill my birds and my soldiers easily. Just drop Cavalier then. Go Picker plus reinforcements next turn. Certainly going to be a fight on our hands. Defender is one of the strongest archetypes in the format because of its mythic uncommon, which is Wingmantle Chaplain. 4 mana for an 0/3 defender, and it comes with a 1/1 bird for each defender on your board. And whenever you play another defender, you get another 1/1 bird. And the really gross part about it is that there's a lot of ways to use it in the format. Tolarian Geyser can bounce your own creature, so you can pick up your own your own Wing Mantle Chaplain to replay it when you've got like 3 or 4 defenders sitting there. Picking it up, recasting it, getting 3 more birds is brutal. There's also great graveyard recursion you can use with it, so... I don't expect Coral Colony in decks that don't have other defenders, so that is what I'm really worried about here, is the Wing Mantle Chaplain nonsense. I don't have another instant to hold up here, but probably get them to attack with Cavalier by not having just 2 1/1 soldiers trading into it on board. So maybe this is wrong because we're not playing around the... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, maybe this is wrong because we're not playing around the Essence Scatter, but I think this is a way to more guaranteed get their Cavalier killed, which is nice. And yeah, we're going to get the Cavalier killed. Since they tapped out for the stun. Okay, beautiful. Keldon's Strike Team. I get to poke for 3 and still have my 2 1/1s for their 2 1/1s. Boop. 18 life, you know what? We're racing. Actually winning the race if I just send everybody in, they crack back and we're at 17. And there's the mythic uncommon of the format, the bane of the format, the one quote-unquote flaw. A lot of people actually like the Defender's archetype, but I find it frustrating. Okay, well, the board is small enough to just send everybody in. Still. I do have to trade a 3-1 down into a 1-1 here, which is not good. Yeah, I'll just hold that one back, but everybody else attacks in fine. They get to stop 2 damage with the Wing Mantle Chaplain, but we get to break through with some other stuff. Or this works fine too. I've got the second Goblin Picker. Just take it. Bounce with the Chaplain, trade 1/1s. Cool. Here's the love song. Chapter 2, we really don't want them drawing into defenders or geysers. Here's a Goblin Picker. Probably just play this Plains because I have double white spells. But I could see a world where I have to just discard it and hope for something. I guess our deck's actually decent against Wing Mantle Chaplain because of the double Elder Dragon War again. Even being an aggro deck here, that Elder Dragon War has put in so much work for us against random nonsense. Clearing out boards. Stall for time. Yeah, definitely stalling. Could have Goblin Pickered in response, but again, I'm just holding on to this second Plains so that if we hit a heroic charge, we can actually cast it and try to lethal soon-ish, since we have the mana to kick it. Or if we find our exile removal, exiling the Chaplain feels nice. Come on down, Tori. No, did they find Scatter now? They didn't have it earlier for Strike Team. Okay, so they still don't have it. Yet. Shield Wall Sentinel. That could be the death sentence here. That's the other part busted about the Defender deck, is that the Shield Wall Sentinel can just tutor out all your Wing Mantle Chaplains. Thank goodness. They only found 1, but even the 1 is disgusting once you find the Sentinel. Because yeah, a 1/3 and 0/3 and 2 1/1 birds out of a single top deck from our opponent. Insane. Now we just have to find the Elder Dragon War. I have to do some Goblin Picker things. Well... yeah, I mean, the Elder Dragon War is going to wipe our whole board as well, so we might as well get in a tiny bit of damage while we still can. with these cards, right? I can't even get a tiny bit of damage in, right? Like I send in Tori, they're going to triple block that, but then I guess that means this bird killed something without dying. This bounces off shield wall. This untaps white creatures. These red ones trample, so if I want to use Picker this turn, I don't get to attack with it. Yeah, I guess we hold off anyway, because Tori's going to die on the first attack, that'll be a higher impact attack, attacking with like this whole team instead. Alright, that ain't it. We pass. Well, the flyer still would have been an okay attack. We killed 2 of their birds for our 1. But it'll be an even better attack if Tori manages to stick around, then it'll kill 3 birds. Although they could just use drawbridge on Tori every turn, that would be sad. Love Song of Night and Day. Get another bird and some counters. Yeah, I was going to say, I'd be very surprised and also very happy if they have us each draw 2 cards. Because that just gets us closer to them Dargon Wars. Well, time for them to show me the counterspell, right? The only taxing counterspell in the format counters it unless you pay 1 for each creature they control, which is more mana than I have available, even if I cast a 0 mana spell. So we're not playing around a taxing counter. We're keeping the mountain in hand so that if we don't lethal them this turn, we can still discard that to Goblin Pickers next turn. And I'm not even doing the math this time, because even if it doesn't lethal them, we clear out a lot of birds here, which is still good for getting lethal over the course of a few turns. But I don't think it's lethal immediately. Alright, yeah, we're gonna like not lose a single creature and kill a lot of theirs. And trample over. There's no single blue mana counterspell. Okay, there's Shore Up. For the little combat trick, let's see what damage this is. Ooh, go to 1 and have a single drawbridge on board. Guardian of New Benalia, solid rare, but a little too late. There's the Elder Dragon War. If we somehow don't lethal, we just 2 damage to each player. Prayer of Binding Tori gains them life and stops that damage, but I think they're still dead. They can only block 2 things. They take exactly 3. Although they let a 2/2 instead of a 1/1 in, so they took 4 instead of 3, but they took at minimum 3 on that attack. All right, beautiful showing for the Boros aggro deck this time around, once again, showing off that while green-based domain soup is a very fun, very powerful archetype, and the way a lot of people remember this format, streamlined 2-color decks are great as well. Done some great stuff with blue-red, and now some great stuff with Boros aggro, and that's what I really, really love about the format, is that there are so many different paths to take with it. Our first deck was a very controlling blue-based deck, where we sat there for a long time doing nothing, and just trying to counter our opponent's best plays and use board wipes to get ahead. Technically, I've played a lot of Elder Dragon Wars in these first couple drafts back in the format, so that's been a big MVP, but 2 very different decks, because again, we had several games in our first draft where we really sat there for many turns just countering things and waiting to draw into great stuff. And this one, we've been super proactive most of the time, just expanding that board real quick, sometimes getting some turn 5, turn 6 kills off heroic charges or Tories and stuff like that. So really explosive, really aggressive, proactive deck here. And again, that's the sweet part of the format. There's great aggro, there's great tempo, there's great control, and there's great, just really grindy, long game, slow decks in the domain archetypes. So a little bit of everything for everybody. But that was a showing of the great stuff you can do with aggro in Dominaria United. That is a 7-1 run for the maximum 2200 gem prize out. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.